Alright, so this episode of Dragon Ball Super, the first half of it was action-packed and insane. Second half, we had a little bit more of that recap stuff. And I've noticed that with Dragon Ball Super, with this arc in particular, a lot of it has been like, we'll get some crazy action, and then they like to throw a little bit of recap towards like the end of an episode, or maybe in the beginning of the episode, kind of in a different way of like a character explaining to the other people. And this is like, I want to say the second or third retreat we've had, which is kind of interesting. Like, I don't understand how long Trunks can keep on going. Like, okay, with the transformation we've seen in this episode of him having, or at the end of the last episode in this episode, you gotta think for a second. Think back to Super Saiyan God Goku. After he lost his Super Saiyan God powers against Beerus, ultimately, he was still able to obtain that power and contain it within him. It almost gave him a boost, essentially, and he was fighting Beerus in his Super Saiyan form. So there's a huge possibility, even though throughout the episode, Trunks started losing that transformation of whatever it was, which I really would have liked for it to be addressed in this episode, what that was or whatever, but nonetheless, after he lost it, he probably still had a huge buff from it, so that's probably why he was able to take on Zamasu in black, even though Goku and Vegeta were leaving. And it's crazy to think that, essentially, at this particular point anyway, Trunks is the only one that could kind of keep up with Zamasu in black, because everyone else was getting their asses kicked. Like, let's be honest, everybody else, Goku, Vegeta, they had to bounce or whatever. So it's interesting that Trunks started off being the weakest of everybody, and now he's seemingly stronger than both Goku and Vegeta, or at the very least, he's able to maintain his ground more than the both of them. So that's kind of interesting. I'm kind of curious, based off the second half of this episode, seeing Goten and Trunks, if they're gonna have any involvement, because you got to think for a second. Okay, Black is definitely stronger, like without a shadow of a doubt. He's probably stronger than all of the Z Warriors, but Goten and Trunks, I think, might be able to, at the very least, be a distraction against Zamasu. So I'm kind of curious if they're going to implement them into the arc, or maybe they're going to sneak into the time machine somehow on some pan shit, which I was scared. I thought little Mai was going to actually press a button and then get blasted off into the future. That would have been terrible, because I would have been on some like pan shit, so I'm glad that she didn't. But honestly, after watching this episode, one of the biggest questions that really just keeps on messing with me is, can Trunks realistically handle both Black and Zamasu by himself? I mean, you see towards the end of the episode that, yeah, he's giving it his all or whatever, but like, is that really enough? Then another big part of the episode towards the end was we actually seemingly have a solution, which I talked about this in a previous video, whatever, based on the spoilers, that Goku was going to have to learn the Mafuba, and the fact that they did a nod back to Dragon Ball with Goku having to learn this technique, I love that. I love that they actually had reanimated bits from Dragon Ball, which makes me wish one day in the distant future we'll have a reanimated Dragon Ball. One can only hope, right? But that's something that I was like really excited about. But I'm kind of curious, can Goku, who's not a master of this at all, because if I'm correct, if you go back to Dragon Ball, it took these people a long time to master this, and Goku seemingly got the gist of it towards the end of the episode. But I'm kind of curious if that's even going to be enough as well, because let's face it, like, Trunks is basically just holding off Black and Zamasu, which you got to think for a second, if he's fighting them for a long period of time, by the time he's done fighting them or holding them off, his power is going to be through the roof. But if Goku doesn't master this, if Goku can't actually do this, then what? What's the next step? Let's just say he comes with the rice cooker and tries using the Mafuba. What happens if that misses? What are they going to do then? And overall, again, this episode as a whole, I say the first half was crazy. The second half, it was okay. I think the best part of the second half was introducing a new element that could potentially be what takes down Black and Zamasu with the Mafuba, but it was kind of like comedic at the same time, seeing the turtle flying all around and stuff like that. So the episode as a whole, I'd say it was a good to a very good. It wasn't a great episode because they did have quite a bit of recap and of course Mai and Pilaf, but the first half of the episode, oh my gosh, just seeing the action looking insane, Trunks going in against Black and Zamasu. Let me know what you guys think. How did you feel about the episode? What do you think about the fight? How strong do you think Trunks is at this particular point, seemingly losing that transformation but still being able to hold off Black and Zamasu? Do you think that that increased his base strength dramatically? Like, is it similar to when Goku lost his god powers but still had that buff from them when he was fighting Beerus? And if Goku doesn't succeed with using the Mafuba against Zamasu and Black, what's the next step for them? Then what? And your overall thoughts of the episode. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.